Hey guys, it's me, Erica Avery, your communications intern for FastForward U. It's been a hot minute, but we are back with the 2021 to 2022 academic school year and this year's podcast.
Erica, that was so formal. Hey guys, welcome back to FastForward U Presents Start Here, the podcast about entrepreneurship and innovation. You might notice, not only are we kind of live recording this one again, but Erica is back. She's been on a unintentional hiatus, not for her doing, but just because we had so many pre-recorded material. Erica, I don't know if you want to give our listeners any cool updates about what has been going on your end since the last time.
Yeah, it's been a hot minute. And I was going to say, I've been listening to a lot of podcasts lately. And it's always like, there's always the very formal, like, hello, welcome back to the our show on this episode.
Well, you did a great job with the formal intro. I'll have it as a formal recording, or if we ever get sponsored, you'll be the person that records the sponsorship little intro. But we're going to keep our intro for today's episode pretty short because we're talking to not only our newest member at FastForward U, but also our newest podcast co-host, D'Mario Northington. It was really great talking with him. I've interviewed him a couple of times since he started, so I'm very thankful that D'Mario is so kind to deal with me asking him a whole bunch of questions. So we're just going to get right into today's interview with D'Mario. Well, welcome D'Mario to our podcast. It's been a while since we recorded a live episode, so this is super exciting, and we're just going to get right into it. The first question we always ask anyone who's here is, who are you? So could you tell our listeners a little bit more about you, why you joined FastForward U, and what to expect?
Yeah, of course. My name is D'Mario Northington. I am the student program coordinator here for FastForward U. Outside of work, I like to go by a life designer. I help people reach their fullest potential by awakening what's already inside them. The reason why I came to FastForward U is because I am a Venture for America Fellow, which is a 2-year entrepreneurship program that teaches you how to start and run their own business. And we get paired with the startup, and the startup that I'm paired with is FastForward U. So I'm super excited to be here, super excited to be in Baltimore and just get this entire experience.
And you're also an entrepreneur yourself. Don't sell yourself too short. Can you talk a little bit about your business?
Yeah, so I started a clothing brand back when I went to Michigan State. It's called Black Educated, which is an identity brand, less of a brand, more of a movement. I created that to put who I was in clothing, and I always had an interest in fashion. So I wanted to bridge together fashion and entrepreneurship.
I'm curious to kind of know if you could tell the story of how it came to be, and kind of what were the different pieces that you had to go through in order to start a fashion brand.
So I like to say that this brand came about accidentally on purpose. I created a brand when I went to Michigan State, and I always wanted to go to a HBCU and didn't go to a HBCU. And when I went to Michigan State, there was a 7% population of Black people. So I really wanted to amplify who I was. I wanted to let my identity be known when I stepped foot on campus. And I was wearing the gear around campus, and people were just asking me, like, where did you get this from? Are you selling it? The answer was just no for so long. But then something clicked in me. I'm like, there is something that I love to do, and then there is a demand for the product. So why not create it into a business? And that's how I started. I started in my dorm. I had a vinyl cutter, boxes of just blank clothes and a bunch of vinyl. I would grind out like after classes, after I did my homework, and just create a bunch of clothes for different pop-up shops and vendor shows. And eventually I created a website and built it into what it is today.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask about that too. So like when you first started wearing your clothes, before you got into the mindset of making it, was it something where you kind of just ordered it from like a merch maker type of website, or is this something that like you literally made everything that is on the tees and on your merch now?
Yeah, so I made everything that's on it. I learned how to use heat transfer, vinyl, and the different software when I was in high school because I used to make gear for my high school sports teams and like prom and things like that because my mother actually had her own custom designs business, and that's where I picked up the skill from. So that's how I started with Black Educated, and then I switched to print on demand once the demand became a little bit too high for me to manage, on top of classes and everything. I started working with a drop shipping company and scaled up the business that way.
And how hard was it for you to kind of find the right companies to work with as you began to grow?
It was a little difficult. It was like just trial and error. So I worked with 3 different drop shipping companies before I landed on the one that I really like. And it's a bit difficult because the design process is not as easy as me making the clothes myself because you have to go through their website, and then their website does not size the design how you should normally size it. Like it's not by inches or anything, it's by like a percentage, and it was just a super sticky situation. So I had to order a bunch of samples to be able to make sure that I had the size right and could sell that on the website.
So then what was the impetus to getting involved with Venture for America?
Yeah, so I was a pre-med major at Michigan State. My major was physiology. I wanted to be a plastic surgeon. I shadowed plastic surgeons my entire career there. And then my junior year, that's when I started the clothing brand, and I decided I didn't want to go to med school anymore, and I had to figure something else out. So I saw one student from my university on LinkedIn. I got accepted into Venture for America. So I just clicked on it and read more about it. And I'm like, this is definitely what I need to do because honestly, if I did not join Venture for America, I don't know what I would be doing right now. Like finding startups to work at was super difficult without that network of people and that just like the community overall. So Venture for America made it super simple for me to be involved in the entrepreneurial community and have like this network of support.
Yeah, it sounds like it really resonated with you well.
Speaking on entrepreneurship, can you touch on, if you had to choose, what is your favorite part about being an entrepreneur or about entrepreneurship in general, and then your least favorite part?
I could say my favorite part of being an entrepreneur is actually solving a problem, figuring out ideas to solve either complex or very simple problems. It's just that the thought process, the brainstorming, just using what's already inside me to come up with these solutions. My least favorite part, well, I guess I could say my least favorite part is the amount of time it takes, like the amount of time that you have to put in outside of regular business hours. Like being an entrepreneur is a 24-hour job. So you always have to make sure you're there to solve any customer problems. Like I've been in a situation, at least with my business, where I'm dealing with manufacturing, I'm dealing with operations, I'm customer service. So it can be a lot at times, but that's also the fun of it as well.
In the like a month-ish that you've been at FFU with students, what have you found, I guess, the most surprising or the most challenging or most rewarding as well?
Well, I see this position as a learning experience, and it's a lot to learn like about the different industries because, my entrepreneurial journey has been in fashion and other like decor items, and I haven't started a med tech company. So it's been a learning experience to understand what these students are building and how they need to build it, like what structure they have to build for their company, which is completely different from fashion as you would think. So that's been the most exciting, the most time consuming, but overall, like the learning experience is the reason why I wanted to work here in the first place.
What are you most hoping to contribute to FastForward U as far as working with these students? Now that you're the student program coordinator, you're going to see all of our Spark teams and eventually all of our teams through. What are you hoping to give to these students?
I'm really hoping to just show them that entrepreneurship is an option no matter what your major is, because that was one thing that I was stuck with when I was in undergrad. Like, I thought that if I wasn't a business major, I could not go into entrepreneurship. So just like bridging together people's skills and also their interest in innovation, and like coming up with different programs at FastForward U to just introduce them at least to the idea, even if they don't want to be an entrepreneur, if they don't want to own a business, just showing them that this is an option, and there's no limits. Honestly, that's what I really want to just showcase.
And I'm not going to phrase this as eloquently as you did when you had answered one of my first questions, but you said that you call yourself, what was it? A
life designer?
Yes, a life designer. Yeah. So with that, what are you hoping to contribute overall? I know I've interviewed you quite some bits since you've started. And you had also mentioned on Instagram too, how you hope to really make a meaningful impact. Like, you want to leave this planet knowing that you made some positive impact. What would that look like for you over the course of your career? I know that's a big question to ask someone super young, but I'm just throwing it out there.
I think the most successful people are teachers, not as far as a profession, but as far as whatever they're skilled in. They'll teach people what they know. And, just building this entire community of well-rounded people. So like whatever I end up doing, and I can't answer that, but I hope to be as impactful to introduce others to that idea, and just bringing knowledge together, because at least for me, I want to be able to build generational wealth. And I don't think generational wealth is necessarily about the resources you have access to, but I think it's about the knowledge you have access to. So just introducing things that I didn't learn in high school, middle school, that I think would have been pretty useful, and like being a mentor to other students, just being a mentor to youth overall, because youth is actually, I'm very passionate about helping the youth. So when I grow older and get much more experience, I'm pretty sure that'll be like the field I go in. I
feel like I just have to ask, because your undergrad major was in physiology, my PhD is in physiology. I feel like I have to follow up on this coincidence. Just in that, like, when trying to choose career paths, even for myself, you might have like done a bit of a pivot there, but do you still feel like you can integrate like that passion in science? I mean, it seems like you really were devoted to the idea of being a surgeon and like done all that shadowing and stuff. So do you still feel like, that spark is there, and that you could possibly, use some of that in some capacity in the future?
I'm going to be completely honest. I'm just going to say no. I think the knowledge that I learned while in undergrad is very key, and it'll help me in some areas of my life. But I really went through a change, because I think there's just so much pressure to be a doctor when I was younger. So like that was just the goal. Like that was always my goal. And then when I realized like what I love to do, like what I would do if I wasn't getting paid to do it, I just decided that I need to follow my own, dreams, and follow my own vision that I have for my life.
What advice would you give for people in that place where they are coming to Hopkins, or they're pursuing a degree in something that is expected of them, but they know that might not necessarily be their passion? Like, what can you tell students who are fearful of a pivot?
You really just have to identify what you like to do. Like going to undergrad, those 4 years of whatever you major in, it doesn't define you, but it can help you if you major in something that you want to go into. So if you're just going to school because your parents, your grandparents, or whomever told you that you should be this, it's not the best idea. Like you may have to disappoint them for now, but then once you're in your field, you're doing whatever you want to do, they'll just appreciate why you didn't go the route that they necessarily wanted you to. Because like my number one thing was I didn't want to be unhappy wherever I ended up. Like I didn't want to spend these 4 years in college and get a job that I'm just like, I don't even want to go to it, So I would definitely say stay true to yourself, identify things that you like to do, identify skills that you have, and figure it out that way.
I think, especially for Hopkins and in this environment, there's definitely a lot of people who feel the pressure from society, or this is just, this is the way if you're an intelligent person, or this is how you're going to make money if you become a doctor. And I think that's a really important journey to share, and hopefully one, if people identify with, will help them.
Agreed. And I guess my last question for you, D'Mario, is what are the links? What are the things that any listeners can go to now to check more out about you and about your business?
Yeah, so the business page, Instagram name is be.black.educated. And the website is blackeducated.com. It's currently undergoing a pivot. We love pivots over here. So everything will be up at least by 2022. And we'll have clothing on there. We'll have an events page with different events around Baltimore. And yeah, I'm just super excited about what's coming.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for talking with us today, D'Mario. Really appreciate it. We're excited to have you on board on the team. And we're really excited to see the impact that you make on the students here with FastForward U.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Do you have a fave find, Erica?
My fave find is basic AF, but
no, mine's even more basic. I bet you I can out basic you.
So I don't know about the undergrads, but at least as a grad student, we are allowed to have the Calm app for free, which we've had for a while, but I've only just taken advantage of it. And my problem is that I can't fall asleep at night ever because my brain doesn't shut up. And I used to be that person, right? Especially like with school, the school year starting, everything. And I used to be that person who needed complete silence to sleep, like any noise, like I could not stand. But like somehow recently I've noticed that like it's the white noise that shuts up my brain so that I can fall asleep. And so I downloaded the app, and like I was having like a whole week where I was like falling asleep super late, and I was like, this sucks, I'm not getting enough sleep. And then like immediately it was like my head hits the pillow and I'm just like out because of like the white noise aspect just helping to shut off my brain, and I'm tired enough that I should be able to fall asleep.
Is it a particular sound that gets you to fall asleep fast?
I think like for me, it's like the crickets and then like the water trickling. Like anything that's like a brook or like lake or whatever, like birds do not help me fall asleep because that signals like morning to me. But anything that's like evening, like crickets or like anything like that, is just like perfect. Rain sounds like 10 out of 10. But I know that's like the most like not new thing. That's just new to me.
Hey,
but
if
like
it works.
If you're having trouble sleeping and it's like the simplest solution, like I highly recommend it.
I love that for you. I'm glad you found a solution to that. I've tried white noise a couple of times, but I feel like I have to have silence too. Maybe I'll change. I don't know. Or maybe I just haven't tried the right app. I'll try the Calm app. My fave find is super basic, and it is another shameless plug. But I wanted to let our listeners know that you no longer have to download Podbean in order to listen to us because we are now on Apple Podcasts. So my fave find has been Apple Podcasts, especially because I used to listen to podcasts all the time when I was in college, especially because I was commuting back and forth to campus. It's awesome to listen to podcasts. It allows yourself to continue to learn, even if you can't have a book right in front of you at that moment. So if you're interested in continuing to learn more about entrepreneurs, innovation, etc., you can continue to follow us on Apple Podcast. Hopefully I can get us up on Spotify and other things later, but it's taking your girls some time. So today's fave find is Apple Podcast. Maybe in a future episode it'll be a different one. But that pretty much wraps up today's episode. Again, shout out to D'Mario for being such a great guest and future co-host. We're really excited to get back into the swing of things. We have a lineup already of entrepreneurs that we're planning on speaking with, And yeah, thank you guys so much for listening. I've been really surprised at how many people have continued to listen, despite me kind of being a little inconsistent with posting and editing. So thank you for your patience. But I'm Kerry Erica.
I'm Erica Avery.
And we will speak with you guys next time. Bye, guys.
Bye. Still not over Carrie clowning me for that intro.